Welcome to Sacred Conversations. My name is Mandulo, and today we are speaking about self trust. Do you trust yourself? And why don't you trust yourself? So, self trust, in its definition, is a firm belief in the reality or truth or ability of someone or something. Self-trust is a firm belief in the reliability, truth, or ability of someone or something. Now we have some synonyms here, which include faith, confidence, belief, reliance, assurance, certainty. So what caught me here was belief. That the reason you trust something or you don't trust something is that you believe in that. So I remember Bashar with this woman asking about, I don't trust X, Y, and Z. And he goes, it's not that you don't trust, it's that you don't trust. It's that you trust in not trusting. And then I was like, okay, whoa, whoa. You trust that you don't trust. So often, because we come into this world, the world really, you came into this environment where there was an imprint on your conditioning in your subconscious mind, and it probably derailed you because you weren't taught that what you came into, unless healed, you are going to come find out who you are through who you are not. And I say this consistently, that because you weren't taught, and even if your soul knows, up until you are merged as one, the ego will be driven to really tap deeper into the the conditioned mind, where what you see, that the hardness, that visceral, the tangible, you believe more in that than what is untangible. And what happens is you end up becoming that. Okay. So it's ultimately, trust is about believing something to be true. If you don't trust someone, you believe something not to be true about them. That's why you might not easily trust their word. Because as humans, we learn through doing. We can acknowledge certain words. And the thing is, this is where English comes in, because the synonyms can mean so many different things. As a people, as humans emitting light, we didn't need, of course we needed, but we didn't need communication through words. Sounds, yes, that could be articulated perhaps into words to be able to give an inkling of some form of resonance to what you were feeling. And then the beauty of having synonyms is saying, maybe you might understand this word because your association with it is not positive, but you can definitely associate something that is of the highest vibration and alignment for you. So I will repeat. Self-trust is ultimately trusting something to be true. So you believe, there's a certain belief that you have about this thing, this person, and this place that makes you then show up accordingly. Okay? So when we think true and truth, It is about the definition is accurate or exact in accordance with fact and reality. Now I ask, whose reality? When you're making decisions, when you are speaking, are you able to think for yourself? Or is your fear higher than what your heart knows to be true? Because then we go back to what I said, your environment was here to help you realize who you were not, who you are by who you are not. And if they were healed, they will help you realize who you are. But because we have generational curses, and when we talk about generational curses, we speak about patterns that have been running through the family lineage, through our bloodlines, through our genetic codings, that there's a certain imprint that has been, in inverted commas, a curse. It's a pattern running through. This is why when people speak about cancer runs in my family or diabetes runs in my family, there's a holding vibration of emotion that articulates and manifests itself as cancer through a wound that hasn't been healed, that now manifests itself as cancer that runs down in the family. Because why? It is a pattern. It is a generational curse. That's what they call it. That up until you release that curse, and it takes a couple of generations, there's so many different school of thoughts as to how many and how long it takes for you to be able to cut that cord. Because the thing is, every experience is an opportunity to help you realize more of who you are instead of getting stuck in who you are not. Okay, so whose reality are you allowing to override your highest belief about yourself? And when I speak highest belief, I'm not speaking ego. I'm speaking you as the divine that is manifest in your physical form as you through your experiences, your family, your opportunities, your nurturing, your natural nature, all of that combined. Your highest self understands the love. The lower perspective of self understands love, but from a conditioned space. So then this becomes a dance between your spirit and your physical body, because your spirit is trying to manifest itself through the physical body. But if you do not allow for the constant cleansing and purification that happens as we breathe in and as we breathe out, we tend to hold the breath when we're in fear of the unfolding that is going to allow a revealing of the change. Because sometimes we get stuck in the comfort of, I've built myself into this certain character, or whatever role you're wanting to play, whatever strengths it allows you to experience and embody, then you'll choose that aspect of yourself, right? But we're talking you as whole without the fear of 3D, allowing for that change. And then through what you experience spiritually, you manifest it physically, but that takes time. It can be instant, but it can also take time longer than what you have anticipated, due to your awareness and your observed attention on what is working versus what is not working. And if your belief on what is not working is working, then what is not working will seem like it's something to not consider. Okay? So trust, it goes with self-control, because self-control is freedom. Trying to control somebody else is sort of like a prison for yourself. There is absolutely no way in which you can control somebody else. You can for a little while. And once that person realizes who they are and you have kept yourself tethered to they don't know who they are, it becomes very dangerous, not for them, but for you. Because if this was the only role you were playing and you weren't allowing for their resistance to feel within yourself that change that is required, then you're stuck in that manipulation. You're stuck in that low vibration of not knowing how to alchemize, but trying to only control that which you think is freedom. Freedom goes beyond what you physically see, what you physically hold, what you physically feel. It's about breath. It's about convenience and a convergence with your spirit and your body. It's about transcendence. Transcending the I, transcending the roles that made you feel protected here on this earth plane. Of course, to a certain degree, very necessary. But after a certain time, when those roles are over, it's time for you to embody the fullness of who you are. Now, when you lack self-control, it denotes a lack of freedom within self. So that's why self-control is freedom. Lack of self-control is like a prison. You want to control somebody else. You want to control the things. You need physical evidence all the time. And that's what can delay your spiritual progress, or that's what will delay your materialized progress, should I say. And what happens is, being someone who's a controller, we can also link that towards narcissism. This ends up becoming a personality trait. Yet, it is a moment-to-moment thing of your becoming. Because as you become more embodied in who you become embodied in who you are after thought, repetitive thought. That's why it's so important to recalibrate the nervous system and rewire the brain, because whatever holding pattern you have from that energy, from that free flying energy, it becomes more condensed. And as it becomes more condensed, you see it in the physical form as something that you can feel and touch, and it becomes something that you resist. That is not true for you, and becomes this dance. It becomes this dance of understanding what am I believing that is physically coming into manifestation, and do I need the physical manifestation? Because a physical manifestation bounces back to gain or give you and gift you the feeling that you are actually looking for. Life is emotive. It is energy in motion. When you want the physical things in your reality, it can become very slow, because it's taking that energy that is free flying and condensing it. I remember in science where the science teacher was just like, it blew my mind back then. I'm just saying it because, it was just like, what you physically feel like a bed or a table is just energy condensed. So we go to school and they tell us, when you see this, this is a table. When you see this, this is a bed. So you identify these physically manifested things that are simply energy in condensed form, which can take another shape if you rewire your brain to believe that. That's why it becomes so important to understand, who am I associating with? Because whoever I am associating with becomes my environment. My internal environment then becomes my external environment, because the more thought you have, the more vibration and holding space, the highest vibration will come into physical manifestation. And this is a head and heart conversation. So what is your head saying versus what is your heart saying? And the mind is such with whoever conditions you that the belief based off of fear becomes your driving force. That fear becomes your life force. So if you do not understand yourself, you can get stuck in a pattern of fear and low vibrational content and experience. Okay. So it's important to rewire and recalibrate. When you know you are in the head, you'll answer by I think. As soon as you go, I think, that means you are not certain. So already that declares uncertainty. When you are certain, however, you have stopped questioning. Because you must understand that if you are looking for an answer, the answers always come immediately. Ask and you shall receive. They come immediately. And they come in so many different ways that you and your source, you and your higher power, have to build that relationship to be able to understand the communication of what it is, what answer is being sent to you in order for you to find more clarity. Now, the thing is, if your mind has conditioned you to believe a certain thing to show up, you very rarely can allow the new to emerge. So it's like saying, you get different types of like fruits, and depending on the area, that's not a good example. Maybe I shouldn't even use an example right now. I think that was clear enough because now I've lost my my train of thought there. But whilst you are confused, turns page. You're just going to hear some clicking. Page turning, rather. You are still questioning, and it is okay. So it is okay to not know. Because the process is just like planting a tree. First, there's a need, then, or a desire. Then that desire starts allowing different types of people to be able to fulfill that need. I said in one of my talks before, and this was one of my spirit channeled messages or dose of wisdom, that a plug point needs a socket and a socket needs a plug point. So if you are asking a question, someone is willing to give you that thing. But you need to open yourself to receive it from places, people, and things that are completely unexpected. So it can be tricky because there's so many different layers to it. But I'm going to leave you with this. Self-trust. What are you believing in? Keep asking yourself. And when you're asking up until you are certain, that means you are still receiving the answer in a way that feels most true for you to receive where you currently are. Because what you are preparing yourself to receive might not be the same thing 5 years from now. Okay, but be willing to open yourself to receive that which is coming out of you and helping you see that, are you trusting in yourself, or you trusting more in not trusting yourself? So by not trusting yourself, that means you are trusting an entity outside of you. And then lastly, I'll leave you with this. I remember speaking to my dad once where we were having like a heated conversation around like me and my studies, because technically, on the down low, I almost failed matric. Okay, I was supposed to repeat matric, and then I was just like, this is definitely not going to happen. So I put my goals down, and I was like, I'm going to finish this course within 3 years, and I did so. So that to say that in one of the conversations that we had when I was having to do, like, it was closer towards like project week, and project week is quite intense because you have all these different projects and you have to work in groups, work with people, and be able to figure out this like content. And it was just, it's intense. And I remember him just worried and concerned about like my safety and everything. And am I playing games? Am I actually really studying? Am I taking this seriously? Based off of, I almost repeated matric, remember? And I remember just saying, and I was in my frustration, I was just like, you have to trust yourself. You have to trust that what you have taught me will land. It might not land the way you want it to, maybe not now and maybe not ever, and maybe now or maybe not ever. But you have to trust that what you are putting out there for me to be able to receive, I have absorbed it. You have to trust that it's not going to look the way you want it to, but it's going to look the way it needs to, according to what fits my higher self. Okay, so what are you believing? And who is taking precedence over what you are believing? Because developing that self-trust muscle is about anchoring yourself in what are you constantly thinking about. I'm sending so much love to you. If you feel called to work with me and you want to grow spiritually, mentorship, and you want to just observe what is happening with you, I mainly deal with empaths. Really, at the end of the day, that's the people who are able to connect a lot deeper to the work of feeling. So if you are needing assistance with being able to connect deeper to self-trust and to anchor yourself within your boundaries, then email me. My email will be in the description below and we can work together. Okay. I'm sending so much love to you and so much peace.